Hello, beautiful people. It is Thursday, September 12th, 2019, and today we have a good one for you.
A great one.
I think when I say this, I mean this. Yesterday being September 11th is obviously holding a little bit of weight on everybody due to what happened 18 years ago. We've talked about it. We chatted about it both on the internet and on the show, and we got a chance to talk to a real-life American hero for about an hour. And we went through many twists and turns that I think you're going to enjoy the hell out of. Speaking of enjoying the hell out of something, you know, I went and saw the Colts play over there in Los Angeles last week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be there for Jacoby Brissett's first start.
Good guy.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Good interview.
No, I mean, you're a good guy for supporting your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say it, but you did.
I did. That's what I'm here for.
When I got the tickets to the game, even though it was a soccer stadium, which we found out Vinatieri doesn't kick well in.
Right.
Yeah. I bought my tickets from the only place that you should buy tickets from, and that's our friends, our presenting sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the greatest ticket buying platform on planet Earth and
the moon.
Because they scan all the other ticket buying platforms and make sure you're getting the best bang for your buck. The best ticket available for the best price available is available for you from your friends at SeatGeek. Not only is it sporting events, which they have great tickets to, not only is it comedy, which they have great tickets to, not only is it music and theater, it's any live event possible. SeatGeek has tickets for you at the best price. You're alive, but are you living? Go live and experience something live with your friends at SeatGeek. And right now, use promo code PAT. You get $10 off your first order. Wow. Promo code McAfee. Get $20 off your first order.
No way.
Wow.
Little self-awareness here. We need to be a team. We need to be a team here. Listeners, people in this room, we need to be a team. We need both of those promo codes to continue to run. It's good for business. It's good for us. It's good for the listener. It's good for everybody. So let's have a little self-awareness. If we're rich already, if we're doing well, we have a little extra in our pocket, let's go ahead and use promo code PAT and get $10 off our first order. If we're not rich yet, but we're on our way, use promo code McAfee at $20 off.
Perfect.
SeatGeek, the greatest ticket buying platform on planet Earth and
The moon.
and also any other planets that are having live events. Right?
Mars.
Because you know they're having them.
I know
they're having them.
I think SeatGeek's trying to get into Mars. I don't think they have the territory yet, but we know they're here in our solar.
It's international waters. It's tough.
It is. Different languages. Elon Musk is trying to work it out. Did you know that on average, a burglary happens once every 23 seconds in the United States?
That's pretty quick.
Get out of town.
We have a long conversation I want people to get to, or I would have done the dramatic wait for 23 seconds with dry noise just to show you that is very quickly. I did not know that was happening until we linked up with our sponsor who takes care of this office, takes care of my house, Todd's house, the pub. I'm not sure about Diggs. He's got a couple dogs. He should be using it. SimpliSafe takes care of you in a quick and efficient fashion. When I was in the NFL, I was grossly overpaid. When you're grossly overpaid and everybody knows you're grossly overpaid, people try to take advantage of you with services that they can provide for you. I got this massive house under what I should have paid for it.
Good deal.
But people started preying on me. I had this security system guy that said, I can get this place locked down as if it's Area 51 if you want. I said, let's do it. He put in 4 or 5 cameras. He did this. It was through a website. It cost me literally an arm in my left leg. Not my right leg. That thing's fucking expensive. But it was an arm in my left leg. And it wasn't functional. I couldn't really get into the cameras. They would break down every once in a while. It was just a complete nightmare of a situation for me. I have this dream house, but no dreams at night because I couldn't sleep comfortably knowing that I wasn't being protected even though I paid so much. Now that SimpliSafe has entered our life, all of us can say this. It's easy. It's $15 a month, and it is very, very, very comforting to know that your entire house is on lockdown thanks to your friends at SimpliSafe. 20 out of every 1,000 households were burglarized in 2017.
Wow.
These are alarming stats. And this is why with that overly priced bullshit system, I couldn't sleep at night. But with SimpliSafe, everything feels good. SimpliSafe protects every door, window, and room with 24/7 professional monitoring. They make it easy. There's no contract, hidden fees, or fine print. It's won a ton of awards from things that matter in this field, from CNET to the New York Times and Wirecutter. Well, the New York Times owns the Wirecutter.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's not and Wirecutter. It's their
Makes
one
sense.
thing. But he still won. They still won an award.
It's still a prestigious award.
In this field. which it doesn't get talked about a lot. Like, hey,
No.
what about security awards? You're like, I don't know what that is. CNET in New York Times Wirecutter, top of the class. Prices are always fair and honest, and the around-the-clock monitoring is just $15 a month. But one thing that truly makes SimpliSafe stand out is their video verification technology. When other home security systems are triggered, a lot of time the police assume it's a false alarm and the call goes to the bottom of the list. Huh. That house has called us that house has cried woof about 45, 50 times.
Don't answer it.
But now SimpliSafe, using their video verification technology, they're able to visually confirm that the break-in is happening, allowing police to get to the scene 3.5 times faster than other home security companies. And for listeners of this show, SimpliSafe has a huge deal going on right now. Go to SimpliSafe.com/McAfee and get free shipping and a money-back guarantee. That's SimpliSafe.com/McAfee, MCAFEE, SimpliSafe.com. Get on board. It's worth it. And also, if anything cool happens in your house at any given time, we live in an age where things get posted. SimpliSafe is always ready to help you out. The app's simple. They're recording. They're keeping you safe. You're sleeping at night. And it's $15 a month. Well worth it. Speaking of well worth it, the time you're about to invest into listening to this upcoming man's conversation with us will definitely be worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is a real-life hero. That word gets tossed around a lot. I just learned of a story, by the way, of a kid named Wells with a red bandana who was in the South Tower who lost his life on September 11th, 2001, former Boston College lacrosse player. That guy was a hero, ready to step up and save lives instead of saving his own. If you haven't heard that story yet, please go look into it. Tom Rinaldi wrote the book. I was crying my eyes out. So to get to chat with this man, especially after just watching that, and to chat with a guy who was a United States Army Green Beret, a man who was a long snapper not only for the University of Texas, but had a cup of tea with the Seattle Seahawks. A man who has been pop culture relevant because of doing good things with his foundation that he started with Jay Glazer called MVP, which is merging vets and players. Ladies and gentlemen, a very handsome man, a man who held the ball for me during my Guinness World Record blindfolded kick, American legend, Nate Boyer.
Wow, that was impressive.
Hey, I honestly think you deserve that intro every time you walk into any room, don't you think so?
I want you to talk in that voice for the entirety of this.
Nate, let's jump right into it because we're going to dive into a lot of topics, I'd assume. Yesterday, today we were recording, but this podcast won't be released until Thursday. September 11th, 2019 was just yesterday. As a man who served in the United States military, when you think of the date September 11th, what does it do to you? What is the thought, the mindset, things that rush to your mind, everything like that, as a man who served for 6 years?
Well, the first thought that comes to mind is how I found out about it, which was, I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I was 20 years old and working odd jobs, kind of floating through life a little bit. A lot of passion, but zero work ethic and application. And it was early in the morning, man. It was like probably, I couldn't tell you the exact time, but it was around 5:30 a.m. Pacific time. I was staying in my little studio apartment. I had like a Murphy bed coming off the wall, like a little, it was probably 200, 300 square feet, tiny place. And, my phone rang and it woke me up, and it was my mom. And my mom, she doesn't call me at 5:30 in the morning unless something very bad happened. And, or I was in trouble. So I answer the phone and she just says, "Turn on the television." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Just turn on the TV." And I was like, "Okay, what channel?" She said, doesn't matter, any channel. And I turned it on, and then, I saw what we all saw. I think it was, I don't think the second tower had even been hit yet. But it was, it really shocked me, scared me, I think. And I just didn't, I didn't think anything like that was possible. I think a lot of us felt that way. And, it was one of those moments that definitely put me in a different mindset and probably changed the entire trajectory of my life, and I had no idea, but at that time. But after that, the second thing that really comes to mind that I am proud of, and I guess when this releases on the 12th will be the day that I remember, is how we came together and how unified we were, and how proud I was to be American. You know what I mean? Maybe more proud than I'd ever been before. I never really thought about patriotism in that way. And that is something that we desperately need right now. That feeling of unity and togetherness, and kind of being there for one another when we're hurting. And you see glimpses of it with these natural disasters that have been kind of hitting us over the last decade or so. But I really remember that as just a time where we really came together as a country.
I couldn't agree with you more. I led off my show yesterday with that entire thing. The September 12th, September 13th, yes, absolute devastation on September 11th, 2001. Absolute panic by a lot of people. Had no clue that on American soil that could happen. I think we all had the same reaction. Very sad. But those next couple days, man, I don't know if you can bottle it. I don't know if we'll ever feel it again. But it felt like the entire country was at a cookout together. It really did. And it was such a cool thing. And then obviously us as humans and Americans, as time goes on, we figure out a way to fuck it up, obviously. And there becomes like a little bit drama here and ignorance there and everything like that. How long after that all happened did you decide to step up and serve the country and join the Army and potentially, and did you have the mindset that you're going to go in and be a special force, a Green Beret? Because that's top of the top when it comes to the Army.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't join for 3 more years, and I kind of did what you were just talking about. I quickly sort of went back into my own personal rut, not thinking about it at the time, but we all had 2,977 reasons why we could be a better human being. And we did for a little bit, we were there for each other. We were vulnerable. We were connected. We didn't care about all the differences. All we cared about was, empathizing with one another, I felt like, for the most part. But I slipped. I mean, America it's a great country, but it's a very comfortable place, and we have a lot of really cool shit and opportunities. And with that comes, comfortability and eventually a little bit of entitlement, And we're quick to whine and bitch and moan when things aren't perfect, and that's a tough one to get through. It's a tough perspective to maintain, like how fortunate we are, because we all want to. We're all hustlers. Like, we want to be the best. We want to be great, and so with that comes frustration when things aren't when the wheels aren't on the track. And for me, I think I had this like glimmer of purpose, and like, okay, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to be a better man now, and blah, blah, blah. But I slipped back into comfortability and just like no real purpose, no real connectedness. Felt like the world wouldn't change in any way. It wasn't better or worse without me. It was just like kind of whatever. And I without knowing at the time, it was a depression, and it was my own depression. And I started traveling. I started going overseas. I was backpacking in different parts of the world, just kind of exploring. I was saving my money up, and then I would go out there and just, sleep in a hammock, sleep in the train, sleep in the hostel, and sort of just learn about the world a little bit. And that took me to the Darfur in Sudan in 2004. And after volunteering at the refugee camps for a couple of months, it completely changed my life, my perceptions, my I guess my confidence that I could go do anything, that I could be a part of something great, and I could make a difference in somebody's life. And my last week in country there, I got malaria, and I was put up by this family who wouldn't take a dime from me, this local family that had absolutely nothing. And they put me in this little mud hut, and they were giving me these pills. I was taking malaria pills, and mine didn't work, and they gave me something else. I don't know if it was for the symptoms or what. And they were trying to feed me and give me water, and it was, tough to keep anything down. But they had this little radio next to the bed, and after I listened to both sides of the Bob Marley tape that they had in there about 3 times and was just done with Marley, I started flipping through the stations, and the only station that came through was the BBC, and it was like play-by-play of the Second Battle of Fallujah going on. And I don't know if it was just me being, messed up and sick, or it just was, something greater than something, what am I trying to say? From the heavens, a
Destiny,
sign? I don't
fate,
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. One of those words.
Gotcha.
It just, I knew that was what I was going to do next. I was going to join the military. So I came back to the States like, this is what I'm doing no matter what. And I started researching. I found out about the Army Special Forces, which are the Green Berets, and they had just opened a contract the year before that you could come in off the street, and if you tested high enough on a language aptitude and, psych eval and physical test and all this stuff, you'd get this contract. You go to basic training, airborne school, and pre-selection for Special Forces. And if you got through all that, then you went to Special Forces selection with the rest of the regular Army guys. And if you were selected, then you start the 1.5 year long training to be a Green Beret. And I signed up with that contract, and fortunately, I just didn't quit, and it all worked out. It's not like I kicked its ass or anything, but I just hung in there. And 2 years after being in the Darfur, I'm a Green Beret.
Okay, so I would love to dive into the hostel and the hammocking and how it was your.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to talk about that and the potential drugs that they were giving you out there. I would love to talk about all that. But before we move forward to the conversation, just because I'd like to know, because we got a chance to meet a couple Green Berets here in the office, the 12 strong, the horse soldiers that had now.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, now have their own bourbon. And they said their motto was something like, with, over, or through. Like it's basically like a democratic special forces almost. Is that accurate?
With, over, and through. I like that one.
Yeah.
Was it more like by, with, and through?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, hey. I knew there was something there. But
you got 2 out of 3. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it is like you guys are known for being like a democratic bunch, like not just being dropped in for war. Like that ability of your world traveling that you did before then and staying in a mud hut there in Sudan probably actually set you up to be a Green Beret a lot more than you could have ever imagined.
Totally. Yeah, a warrior diplomat is a term we use a lot. And absolutely. I mean, we do foreign internal defense. When we go to Iraq, Afghanistan, Timbuktu, it doesn't matter. We work with the locals. We train, advise, assist them. We also fight alongside them. Sometimes we live with them, and they become our brothers in arms as well. And through those relationships, those friendships, we're able to have a bigger impact in that area, And you have to embrace the community. You have to understand what they want and care about that. And I think most people in the military do anyway. I will say that, especially ones that are a little bit older, a little more experienced. But at another level in the Special Forces, that's what you have to be. It's 12-man teams, and you're out there sometimes training hundreds and thousands of people and working with them and getting over language and cultural barriers and customs and, religion barriers and all these things that are can be very complicated. But when you get down to it, if you just hang out with someone and you teach them something and they teach you something and you have a conversation, we are a lot more than different, similar than different. And I think everybody knows that. We just kind of forget it. And it's easy to forget that when on the outside, nothing looks the same. But yeah, that's an important piece of that. And you're absolutely right. Like that trip there was sort of my first Special Forces mission without really knowing it. And it set me up for that. But also, like, I remember reading about what Green Berets actually do once I got back, because I had this image of Rambo with, like, cigar and, like, the bullets over the shoulders, 7.62 rounds and no shirt, and it's not that at all. But it is very cool. It's actually cooler. in my opinion.
You guys don't get a lot. There's not a lot of talk about Green Berets,
No.
and I'm excited that I'm getting to learn more and more about them. Obviously, very thankful for your service to our country and to the world. And after you'd had a 6-year, I don't want to say stint. That sounds like a career. Hey, you signed for 6 years.
I had a cup of tea with the Army.
Whenever you got out, by the way, where did you go for those 6 years? Where were you after you ended up joining? It wasn't the Rambo operation. It was much different thing. Where were some places that you got dropped into to learn about?
Yeah, so my first deployment was to Iraq. I went to Najaf province, which Najaf is the Shiite holy city, and has the biggest cemetery in the world in it. It's right near Babylon, so where the Tigris and Euphrates meet. It's within arm's length of two of the 7 ancient wonders of the world, and it's amazing. But it's very different now than I think it was thousands of years ago. But the history is incredible. The history is incredible, and a lot of the traditions really are incredible. So that was my first deployment there, and I did some other sort of non-combat missions. I went to Israel, I went to Bulgaria, I went to Greece, and then when I was back in college, when I was at University of Texas, I actually did 4 years in the Texas National Guard at that time, and I deployed 2 more times in that time frame, and both of those trips were to Afghanistan. So I did 3 deployments in total, once to Iraq and twice to Afghanistan.
And that was while you just picked up football whenever you got back at the University of Texas. You were like, you know what? Fuck it. I was kind of bumming it in L.A. a little bit. I don't know if you wanted to be a model, actor, or whatever you were trying to be in L.A. You found your fulfillment, your purpose on this world trip. You became an entirely new human being. You get well-rounded. You go through a tour and then a bunch of other stuff, and you get back. You're like, you know what? Fuck, I'm going to go play football for the University of Texas. I'm a long stop. Is that just how it went? Is that how your mind just works? Like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll go play for a D1 college.
I wish I was that cool about it, but, the reality is, ever since I was a little kid, I dreamed of being a professional athlete. That was my thing. I mean, when I was really little, I was into G.I. Joe and all that stuff, but once I hit probably 5 years old, I was obsessed with the San Francisco Giants, the 49ers, Joe Montana and Ronnie Lott and Roger Craig and Jerry Rice and Tom Rastman. Just tons of these guys. They were my heroes. I was Joe Montana for Halloween 2 years in a row when I was 5 and 6. And it's just something that never left me. But as I grew, I was really into baseball and basketball, and I wanted to play football, but I was super young. My mom didn't want me to play. And by the time I got to high school, I was honestly, I was too much of a pussy. I was afraid, I'm going to ride the bench. I'm going to not be good enough. I don't want to, I just was insecure, man. I was a 13, 14-year-old kid, the same, we all had that moment.
Yep.
Some of us are that now.
True.
But,
very true. Oh, boy, Nick.
But so it just, but it bothered me, and it never went away, literally 16 years later, it still bothered me. And I was in Iraq when I made the decision that, I had an opportunity to re-enlist, again, and it would I don't know if I was going to have to go back to the schoolhouse and sort of be a trainer, which is something that everybody's supposed to do when you're in the military. And I sort of skated that one. And so that may be frowned upon by some people, but I didn't want to go to the schoolhouse and instruct. I wanted to just deploy. And, I think everybody wants that. But selfishly, I just dipped out and went to college instead and joined the National Guard. But the main reason I wanted to go to school, I didn't tell anybody this at the time. The main reason I wanted to go is I just wanted to try out. I wanted to play football. I wanted to do it because it never went away, that that regret, and I hated it because it was the number one thing I regretted, which is kind of stupid, but it stuck with me, and it probably affected a lot of my decisions through my teens and 20s because it's this fear of failure, or fear of like looking stupid or whatever that stops most of us from doing what we really want to do. And so I started training, man. I was over there in Iraq, and I was like, I didn't know what position I was going to play, so I was like Googling and YouTubing drills, and I was like, running routes and trying to learn how to backpedal, and started doing like the Olympic lifts and putting on some weight, because I weighed like 165 pounds in the Army. I was very light, and then I came back. Well, I was actually over there towards the end of my deployment, and we're watching. It's football season, and we watch football every chance we get, and it's like 5 a.m, and you're watching the Monday night game because of the time difference, and I just was like, I'm doing it, and I'm going to go back. And initially I thought about going to a small school because I just wanted to make the team. And, thank God for my buddy Brad, who unfortunately passed away in 2012. But Brad Keys was my big brother on the team, the guy I looked up to, my best friend. And he told me, he's like, no, dude, if you go play football, you're going to go to a big school. And I was like, he was like, what'd you play in high school? I was like, I didn't even play, dude. And he was just like, well, still, you're a Green Beret, man. You're not going to a small school. Oh. And I decided on Texas because I'd been to Austin once and I loved it. And, Mack Brown had been out to, a bunch of coaches go out to, on like a USO tour type deal. And he went out there, and I didn't meet him, but everybody that I, knew out there was like, dude, he like made the helicopter wait before it was trying to leave because he wanted to sign every autograph and shake every hand. And there's more Longhorn flags hanging in, barracks windows than any other team. And for all those reasons, I just chose Texas, and, came back the day I got out. I drove down to Austin, and the next day was the first day of school, and the day after that was the first day of tryouts.
That is awesome. I'm actually calling Mack Brown's new team, UNC, tomorrow night. Is there anything I should know about Mack Brown other than he's just an incredible individual?
Man, there's a lot of things to know about Mack. He's very, so he has an awesome, big charity golf tournament that he does every April that you should play. You play golf, right? You're a big golfer.
I'm fucking bad. It's like I'm a good enough golfer to do well, but then that puts me in situations where I have to compete against people that actually play. Like, I'm good, but I'm not. Well, you know what I mean?
It's a scramble, dude. It's a scramble tournament, but it's like it's called Mack, Jack, and McConaughey. It's Mack Brown, Jack Ingram, famous Texas country singer, and Matthew McConaughey. And they put this event on 2 day.
I should play
Thursday and Friday.
Let's get you in that.
I mean, no, it's so much fun. So definitely do it on the air so he's like held accountable. But say, Coach Brown, I heard about this event. I would love to be a part of it because you play 2 like amazing golf courses, and then like last year the headliner was Chris Stapleton.
No.
They have like this concert charity event. It's so much fun, dude. So anyway, I think
what's he raising money for there? What are they raising money for there?
There's it's 5 local charities in Austin. All of them help kids that are underserved in the communities or disabilities, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, they raised like $3 million in 2 days. It's pretty amazing.
Well, McConaughey makes like $3 million. But neither here nor there. It's incredible work to donate money. I appreciate that. Everybody says something good about Mack Brown, though. By the way, everybody.
It's hard to say something bad about him, man. I mean, you know this as a football player. There's always people, no matter who the coach is. There's always players that don't like him, and typically it's because they didn't play.
They screwed me. The coach screwed
you know what I mean?
Me. Yeah,
exactly. It's usually that. It's not. Because then you'll meet somebody else. It's like, that guy's the coolest dude in the world, but it's like a personal thing. But, Coach Brown is really impossible to hate. And his wife, Sally, mention his wife, Sally, because she runs the family, first of all. But she's incredible, man. She's just like Coach. Like, she remembers every single freaking player's name, every player's mom's name, everybody. I mean, they're just the real deal.
That's awesome. Can't wait to do that. I'm going to meet him for the first time here coming up on today, actually. So if you're listening to this in the afternoon, I am currently meeting Mack Brown right now, and I am making him feel terrible about not having me at his golf tournament.
Hey, but I think it's dude. He beat his 2, and I like both Will Muschamp and Manny Diaz, but he beat his 2 former defensive coordinators in his first 2 games at UNC, and he was probably not supposed to win either of those games. Like, I love it.
UNC used to suck. Wake Forest also very underrated. I think we're in for great game at 6 o'clock. I've done a lot of preparation here in the last couple hours. Ty's been just feeding me information. I think it's going to be a barn burner. The offenses are very good, and I can't wait to see it happen. I'm excited to be there. Let's move forward, though, with your life, Mr. Boyer.
My life.
I wish that line by your boy Danny saying, "Hey man, you're a Green Beret. You're not going to some fucking small school," is one of my favorite lines of all. Brad, I'm sorry, Brad.
You're good.
Brad's saying, "Hey man, you are a Green Beret. You're not going to some D2 school. You've made it through a boot camp that not a lot of people can do. You've done things in your life that most people cannot do. You're a special individual. You go to Texas, you do well. You befriend Jay Glazer. Is it after that? When do you meet up with Jay Glazer, and when does the stint with the Seattle Seahawks happen?"
Yeah, so you know what? I just remembered one quick story about Mack. I got to say it's a great one.
Please do.
Okay, so backtrack real quick. So I go to Texas. I walk on as a safety. I don't play at all because I'm just too slow, and it's really hard. It turns out football's hard. Turns out not super easy, especially at a D1 program. But but I was happy to be on the team. Amazing experience. I get to run down on kickoff when we're blowing somebody out. But I wanted to start. I wanted to play meaningful snaps. So I figure the starting long snappers are graduating. So there's an opportunity there, and that's about I've never snapped before, but that's about the only position athletically I can maybe hang in. Maybe holder, but we already had a supreme holder, and he was like the 7th string wide receiver, but he was very good at holding. So that was locked down. I can't kick. So I started teaching myself how to long snap while I was overseas, and right before I went on that deployment, I went into Coach Brown's office and I said, "Coach, I really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the team. This is amazing. I'm going overseas this summer, but I'll keep training over there, and I'll be back for training camp." And he was like, "Yeah, of course. Don't worry about it. All good. I mean, it's a scout team player. He's not too concerned." He's just like, "Don't get shot, and we'll see you in August." And so, and this is in April. And I told him, "Well, Coach, I just started long snapping recently. Started kind of messing around with it, and I'd love to." Have an opportunity to compete for the position in training camp." And he was just like, "Okay, have you ever long snapped before?" And I was like, "Coach, I'd never played football before I got here." And he didn't know that. I kind of kept that sort of secret for a while. So he was just like, "Well, yeah, sure. You get back here, we'll let you try out." And I'm sure in his mind he was like, "Are you kidding me? You're not going to figure this out in 3 months." But I go over there, I bring a couple footballs with me, and I snap every day. And, come back, and sure enough, he lets me try out for the position, and I win the backup job. They didn't want to start me because they were just like you never snapped in a game. It's a different thing.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd recruited this kid to do it, so they got this 6th ranked long snapper in the country, recruited in. And so, first game, out there, he's an 18-year-old kid. It's 101,000 people. It's a different deal. He, has a couple not great snaps, and Coach Brown ended up being the one sort of fighting for me. Obviously he makes the ultimate decisions, but it's this, the special teams coordinator's call too, and he was the one sort of advocating for me. And so that Wednesday we had a snap off at practice. And whoever was the most accurate got the start on Saturday, and I started that second game, and then the next 37 after that until I graduated.
Let's go!
But it was because of Mack. I don't think there's. I would be hard. You'd be hard pressed to find a head coach that would legitimately make that a real opportunity, a real possibility. You know what I mean? When somebody, I know it was in the Army and all that, but someone that comes in their office that's never done that before, never played, and it's Texas, and he's like, "Yeah, well, sure, we'll give you a shot. Why not?"
Hey, we told you this man's story was going to be remarkable, didn't we?
Yes, unbelievable.
We're just getting started too. Wait until we start talking about Peter Berg. Peter Berg and Matthew McConaughey make a mighty appearance in this conversation. It's going to really blow your mind. Speaking of blowing your minds. You remember Dollar Shave Club when they came out and just took over everything?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, brother.
When I talk about Dollar Shave Club, I can't stress enough about the quality of their products. Because what started as a convenient Dollar Shave Razor Company with convenience shipping right to your house, flipping the entire razor game on its head, and really innovating a new model of a company. People just assume that the Dollar Shave Club is only razors. That is not accurate.
That's what people would say all the time. They were just walking around like, it's only razors.
I'd be like, yo, have you tried Dollar Shave Club? It's incredible.
Yeah, it's great, but it's only razors.
Not
That's what they would
anymore.
say. Yeah.
Dollar Shave Club has everything you could possibly need to look, feel, and smell your best. Zito hasn't bought in yet, but everybody else has, because they've spent years developing, crafting, and refining everything. They have everything we use to look, feel, and smell our best. You name it, they have it, and I use it. Their toothpaste thing is the most convenient thing I think mankind maybe has ever created.
Yeah.
Because toothpaste, you're trying to squeeze the last drop out. Nobody ever thinks about it. You use it every single morning, hopefully.
I do, yes.
Every morning.
And sometimes nights.
That was a bold-faced lie. But this is not a lie. Whenever you schedule in there for toothpaste just to arrive at your house, there's no thinking. Dollar Shave Club already done the thinking for you. You just brush your teeth, brush away, brushy brush. If you want to brush as much as Zito does every morning and every night, you could potentially run out of that, and you're like, oh, I don't want to run to Walgreens right now. It's 6 a.m. I don't want to do it. Boom, don't worry about it. Dollar Shave Club's already showed up.
No problem.
Their Dr. Carver shave butter gives you the ability to line yourself up on a perfect razor blade shave because you can see through it. It's very convenient for those of us who can't just have a barber show up at your office once a week.
It's funny.
I never have to waste time at a store wondering if what I'm getting is any good. As a Dollar Shave Club member, I know that they've done the research and what they're delivering to my house is going to take care of me better. Right now, you can put the quality of Dollar Shave Club's products to the test. Their Ultimate Shave Starter Set has basically everything you need for an amazing shave. The Executive Razor, Shave Butter that we talked about, Prep Scrub, and Post-Shave Dew to make sure your face feels great, or wherever else you're shaving. The best part is you can try it for just $5. After that, the restock box ships regular size products at regular prices. Get your Ultimate Starter Set for just $5 at dollarshaveclub.com/America. That's dollarshaveclub.com/America. Let's get back to an American hero, shall we? 18-year-old kid, though. Hold on. Let's think about that 18-year-old kid. That 18-year-old kid, 6th ranked snapper in the world that year. He gets recruited to go play at Texas. Hook him! He's saying all through his senior year of high school, can't wait, I'm going to be a star here. Has a rough start. And then Mack Brown tells him, hey, man, on Wednesday, you're going to have a snap-off against a special forces guy. Like, hey, you're going to have to see if you're mentally tougher than a guy that was a Green Beret. And that kid had no shot. I'm happy Mack Brown gave you a chance. And
Yeah, me too.
Because it's awesome. It's a cool story, mostly because we live in an era, and I think it does get overblown sometimes. It seems like everybody wants everybody to fail these days. It seems like everybody's waiting for everybody to kind of fail. Everybody's waiting for a reason to take somebody down. To hear a story about a guy who was down and then find his purpose and then stay motivated and keep moving, it's a cool thing to hear, Nate. I appreciate the hell out of that story. You get to the Seahawks. You get to the Seattle Seahawks. You're in training camp. It was a cool story. It was like, hey, this guy didn't play in high school. He got to play at Texas, 3 tours. He's done a lot for our country. It was kind of like I don't want to say it was kind of like, it was a real life potential like movie. It was a real life potential opportunity for a movie there. You get to the Seahawks, you snap for a little bit, it doesn't work out. And then you become this voice of reason almost from not only from the military and moving forward, but for a lot of social things that were happening. Did you expect to do all this, or is this just like you end up in these situations and you're like, why not me? Why don't I be the guy that kind of does this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, that situation in particular, the open letter to Kaepernick and sort of being, I don't want to say pulled in because I made the decision. I volunteered to speak my mind, and was willing and able and happy to sit down with him when he asked me to meet him. And but I would never in a million years imagined I'd be in the middle of this social justice conversation. I didn't really know much about all this stuff, and the history of all kinds of things. From the anthem itself to kind of the real history of the civil rights movement and stuff like that, and then where we are now, and having to kind of really swallow my pride and approach all these conversations with like a real open mind and humility. And we talk about open-mindedness a lot these days, and I think it always gets categorized as like a liberal thing, where patriotism is like a conservative thing. You know what I mean? And
that is true.
In reality, like neither of those viewpoints kind of owns open-mindedness. It should be, everybody should be open-minded. I mean, some of the most closed-minded people I've met are lean left, and some of the most unpatriotic, in my opinion, people lean right. And so I was just trying to be both of those things. I was trying to just listen and learn and be a part of that conversation. Like you said, be a voice of reason. And I don't speak for the military community, and I never want to pretend to be like the veteran that just knows what's right and wrong, because I don't. I was just trying to, hear the other side, whatever side that was, and find some common ground and bring us together. Just like, unfortunately, something as tragic as 9/11 did.
The thought that some people would think whenever you get involved in this, because you, by the way, diehard 49ers fan growing up, so this really hit home for you, I'd assume. But the thought that people were like, this fucking guy thinks he knows everything. He doesn't speak for me. That poor guy doesn't speak. I couldn't even imagine the backlash that you received, because the Colin Kaepernick anthem, I don't want to say movement, is still being talked about, by the way. We are years later, literally years later, and it's still being talked about. And I do believe it raised a great discussion for our country to have. It tore a lot of people apart with the branding because of ignorance on both sides, I believe. I think it should have been explained much earlier to the people that were against it and for it, that, hey, this is what we're trying to do here. This isn't a disrespect to the military thing. That's where I think a lot of communication got lost there, and I think that could have been handled earlier in the whole discussion. But the thought that you're a part of a pretty monumental situation in the history of the NFL, I mean, it's something you should be proud of, I think. I don't think it should be the other way. I think it's something you should be proud of. You've made your mark on a league that you were a fan of as a child, in a league that will survive longer than us and was here before us.
Yeah, that's true. I appreciate that, man. And out of it, I was fortunate to be a part of a show last year called Indivisible, where I sort of acted as a wannabe poor man's version of Anthony Bourdain. But went around different NFL cities and met with community leaders and players and former players and talked about all this stuff. Tried to have these discussions, get people down to speak about it. And it's a tough thing, because trust me, I get more than, or as much as anybody, what an escape football is. And like, sometimes it's like, we just want to watch the game. We just miss football. It's like, that was something that we got away from all these discussions. But to your point, it did spark a very important conversation, and we have to address it. We have to talk about it. And why not be able to do that through something that's as uniting as football? Like, I think that's a great opportunity. And we're going to do the show again this year. We're going to at least Miami, New Orleans, New York, and Cleveland, maybe some other cities. And it's pretty cool to be able to to sort of do that and just continue to listen and learn. I mean, it's all about learning for me, because I'm really I'm pretty naive in a lot of ways. I really am. And I think that helps me. I think the naivety when it came to being a Green Beret, or trying out for Texas. Like, if I knew too much or thought I knew too much, I probably never would have tried to do it. And I think that helps me on this journey of just trying to discover and learn and approach all these conversations and situations with sort of an empty slate, with not a ton of preconceived opinions, because I hadn't thought about a lot of this stuff in the past. And so it's something that's, the debate, the conversation is definitely not going away, but hopefully more solutions arise out of this. And I think a lot have. I think there's a lot of players in the league, a lot of police departments around the country that have changed policies, changed the way they view things, work together in those communities to try to improve these relations with underserved communities and law enforcement, and a lot of times through sports. It just in L.A. the Watts now it's the Watts Rams. It was the Watts Bears. There's a youth football team that's coached by LAPD officers, and they built the team. And it was all kids that a lot of them didn't have fathers, didn't have much of a future in their eyes. And these LAPD officers in their free time, they're not getting paid to do it. They started coaching this thing, and a lot of people in the community were like against it. A lot of other cops were like, "What are you doing, man? You're wasting your time." And these guys said, "No, I'm just going to do this because it's the right thing to do, and I want to try to change things." And just this year, the Rams made the partnership official with their team, and they brought these kids out literally like game day jerseys, helmets, all this stuff, and are like a part of that. And just to see these kids that start in this league at 8 years old, and now they're like finishing high school, going to college, doing things that they probably wouldn't do if it wasn't for these officers. So there's all these good things happening. We just don't hear enough about them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. And it's happening all over the country. It is.
I think so too. I think we're inching towards perfection, and there's been a lot of lumps our country, and I think the anthem and the kneeling was a wildly hot conversation and argument starter for a while, but I think it's ultimately going to lead to great things for everybody, and I think you played a vital role for that. Let's move forward.
Yes, sir.
As a kid who was just backpacking around the country, living in a 300 square foot apartment, could you imagine that one day you and a little spark plug of a man who happens to know a lot of insider information would start a foundation that would take care of vets and American heroes while linking them up with professional athletes and musicians and creating a community for military to kind of feel like they're whole again after they serve? In your MVP foundation that is happening with Jay Glazer is something that's magical. How did your friendship with Jay Glazer start, and what is the goal of the MVP foundation?
Yeah, I never would have imagined that. Like, really, just like I mentioned, I couldn't imagine being involved in a social justice conversation. I couldn't imagine being a Green Beret and actually, making that kid's dream come true of getting a shot in the NFL. But when I came out to LA after I graduated. I had to do an internship to finish up my degree, or my master's degree. So I did an internship with Peter Berg, who's a filmmaker, makes a lot of military and football related content. And
Matt, Nate, you're going to say something good there. I don't want to interrupt you. Peter Berg,
no,
probably a great
go
guy.
for it.
Probably a great guy. Makes great content. Just completely blew off our show. So I just had to make sure. I had to make sure that I got that. Don't worry about it. Hey, you got a master's degree from the guy. That's awesome. I just had to make sure that is known.
Well, he didn't give me a master's degree.
You earned it. You earned it. Anyways, I'm sorry. I had to interrupt there.
No, you're good. Yeah. Well, maybe this will change his heart. I don't know. We'll see.
Nate Boyer, bringing people together. I like what you're doing.
Yeah. Just
okay.
be positive, man. So I came out here to do that, but I played in the senior All-Star game, and some of the scouts there were like, you should make a run at the NFL. You should give it a shot. I mean, I was 34 years old, but they were like, dude, you can snap. You're gonna have to put some weight on, but you should give it a go. So I come out to LA, and I'm like, I need to find a place to train, and I hit up a guy I think you might know named Matt Overton.
Oh, Matty
and Matty O. I hit up Matt because he was the only NFL snapper I knew, and I was like, hey, dude, I'm coming out to LA. Like, do you know where I should train? He's like, bro, there's only one place, Unbreakable Performance Center, Jay Glazer's gym. And I was like, awesome, man. Who's Jay Glazer? And he was like, you know who he is. He's like, Google him. And I looked it up. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy, a little spark plug of a man.
Yeah, he is.
Just as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I walk in the gym, I show up, and I meet him, and there was a Marine there who was one of the trainers, and he started kind of training me, and Jay's like, who is this guy? And he came up and started talking to me and told him my story, and he's like looking at my chin and the gray in my beard. and he's just like, you just graduated college, you know? And I explained the whole thing to him, and you know, he started training me, and draft day rolls around, and I had you know, it was the St. Louis Rams at the time, the St. Louis Rams and the Seattle Seahawks, you know, both reached out and wanted to sign me, and he was like, dude, you got to go to Seattle, man. He was friends with John Schneider and all that, and you know, I think he put a few good words in for me there.
That'll help.
So you know, that's why I ended up going up there. And then when I got cut, you know, I played in one preseason game, and you know, I mean, that's just how that shit goes. And I was obviously an underdog, and but I did well, did everything I could. So no regrets on that. But I come back to LA, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. I'm considering going back in the military, to be honest, because I just was like, I didn't want to sit around and wait for something to happen. And that's when Jay approached me about this. He'd been wanting to start a foundation. He'd been wanting to do something with athletes, but involving veterans. You know, and we started having conversations about it. And the thing that stuck out to us was just like the similarities in how difficult that transition can be. You know, losing the identity with the uniform, the locker room, the team, the purpose. Very physical in nature, both of those jobs, especially as special operations vets and, like, you know, MMA fighters, football players, hockey players, some of these real physical jobs. And then it was like, you know, I was 34, and that's very old to be finishing your career as a special operations veteran or a football player. A lot of these guys are a lot younger, and a lot of them, you know, some of these young Marines, they join at 17, and, you know, they're out at like 21, 22. And they've done all these incredible, crazy things, and then they come back into the real world, and it's just tough to, you know, get yourself going and find your niche and like feel like you belong. And that's the number one creditor, unfortunately, to suicide. And there's 22 veterans a day that are taking their own lives, and it's happening to athletes as well. You know, we all think, oh, they make a lot of money, they're playing a game. How bad can life be? But it's like, it's tough to understand the sacrifice that has to go into being elite, to playing at that level. And I'm not comparing war to playing a sport, but like when you no longer have that team, you know, and that uniform in that locker room, it is very challenging. It's really hard. So there's that mutual respect between the two groups. So we brought these guys together. We train on a weekly basis at Unbreakable here in LA. Most of the first vets we brought into the gym were like these 6 dudes that were living in a homeless shelter on Sunset Boulevard. Speaking of a movie, I wrote a script about that, and we're going to make this damn movie. You're probably going to be in it, Pat.
Hey,
but anyway.
Hey, I'm ready. Hey, I'll get in shape if you need me. I'll take all the steroids if you need me to get that.
Okay. All right. That's not what this movie is at all. But anyway.
Okay. Well, I didn't know. There's a gym. There's vets. You just let me know if you need me to look better. I'll try to figure it out.
You just want juice. You just want juice.
Just for a reason. You know?
But I mean, and then we were the guys that Jay brought in, you know, like his little crews, like Michael Strahan and Tony Gonzalez and Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell. And like these guys are coming in, training with these vets that are living in a homeless shelter that feel like nobody gives a shit and they don't matter anymore. And, you know, their best years are behind them and they're like in their 20s, maybe 30s. And it's like, it wasn't like these guys weren't making an appearance, these athletes. They weren't coming in to, like, you know, shake their hands and just say thanks for your service. It was like, we're going to work out together. We're going to actually talk about our struggles very openly. And, you know, one that always sticks out to me was Tony Gonzalez. You know, he comes in and shares a story that he'd never share with anybody except his wife, just talking about 3 months after he was retired, and he knew he was going to have a broadcasting career. He knew he'd be in the Hall of Fame, you know, in 4 years or whatever, and all those things. But he was out to dinner with her. They went out to Italy on vacation, just them two, and like he was just not himself. She could tell he was distant. I think she was probably worried, you know, that their marriage was on the rocks or whatever. And he like broke down at dinner and just started crying. And she was like, "What is wrong with you?" You know, and he just said, I've peaked and I'll never be great again, you know, and I know that. And I'm 37 years old, and that's really hard to, you know, to come to grips with. And it just like, he had not released, you know, he had not talked about it. And he said like that release of that emotion and of just like speaking those words just helped him monumentally, just admitting this is where he was at. And that's what we kind of do in the gym. I mean, we train together, and then we talk about those stories, and we talk about the good stuff too, and like triumphs that we're having now, and And but when we're struggling with stuff, and when anniversaries of fallen brothers roll around and stuff like that, like that's the time to be with our brothers. You know, that's the time to like do something together, to celebrate those lives, not to isolate and run away from all that stuff, because it doesn't go away. And when you take, you know, when you kill yourself, man, I've had plenty of brothers do it. I had a girl that I used to date, not in the military, that did that, and the pain doesn't go away; it just gets passed on. And you know, and we don't want to. We got enough burdens as it is, just being human beings, man. Life's already hard, and that just makes it even harder. And so we don't want that to be an option. You know, we've got to do something about that, and it's all about community and just making sure everyone understands that they belong, they matter, and they still got a lot to give this world.
Man, it's incredible work you're doing, sir. Absolutely incredible work.
Thank you, brother.
The Marine was Gabe? Gabe was the Marine over there?
Yeah, that's right.
Gabe and I, by the way, very handsome, man. He is
Gabe is a good-looking dude. Big ears, but a good-looking dude.
Big ears, small hands, good-looking dude. I believe he was a sniper, if I do recall correctly, with the Marines. But I was with him one night in Los Angeles, and it was an anniversary of a passing of a friend of his. And the conversation that he and I had that night kind of opened my eyes to what everything happens. Right. Because it was a tough night for him. And I just so happened to be literally the only person in the area. I'd met him probably a month before that. We'd hung out a lot. And it was like listening to him kind of just like, obviously he had a couple drinks. We had a couple drinks together. But like listening to it just like let it out. It was like I learned so much. I learned so much that night. And I was like, God damn, man, I hope there's a way that you can grieve with this, because I have no idea what you're going through right now. I wish you could. It seems like this MVP is the perfect way to do that. Can't thank you enough for what you're doing, not only for yourself, but for everybody. My boys here have been listening to this entire conversation. We have a Marine here. He's a little bit older of a man. There's some questions. You mind if the room asks some questions, man?
Oh, me? No, shoot.
You're the best.
Hey, Nate, it seems like you've put together a pretty simple plan for success. You just, I don't know why more people don't do it. Green Berets, learn football on YouTube, make a Division I roster.
Play in the NFL.
Yeah, train in the summers in Afghanistan as a National Guard member. Pat mentioned it would be an incredible movie, and I assume if anyone were to ever make a movie about you, Peter Berg would make the movie. But who would you pick?
We don't know.
But who would you pick in Hollywood to play yourself?
Oh, man. I mean, you know, he's a supporter of MVP, and he's a really good dude. And his right hand man was a Navy SEAL who's actually a cool Navy SEAL, which is very rare. But just kidding. Chris Pratt, man. But it'd have to be soon. He's getting up there. He's in his 40s.
Yeah.
I love Chris Pratt, dude. He'd crush it. He's not quite good looking enough, but he's pretty close.
That's awesome.
I respect it.
People say me and Chris Pratt look awfully similar. Just if you're thinking about it.
Yeah, that's what I said. Not quite good looking enough.
Diggs.
Nate, you talked about how you were in your 30s playing in college. There's a lot of these Australian kickers who are now in their 30s and upper 20s playing in college. What's it like playing with kids who are 10 years younger than you, and you're on campus with all these kids? What's that situation like?
Is it lit?
In the locker room, it was just. I mean, we don't really mature in a lot of ways past 19. Like, let's be honest. So in the locker room, like, you know, not a lot of issue. I mean, some stuff, yeah, like, you know, it's just got to have that perspective and understanding that like you were that same 19-year-old dickhead. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of times I still am. So, like, I think understanding that, you know, helps. School was like, I definitely had challenges with coming back every summer and, like, just being angry, man. You build up a lot of anger on deployments and being at war and stuff like that. You just do. Like, it's just part of the process. And coming back, and it's like, you know, you're sitting in the back of the classroom and, like, everybody's they're in class because they take attendance maybe in that class, but they're just all on Facebook and not paying attention. And, like, you know, that was things I would get frustrated with, but I'm just like, dude, like, I'm the same guy because I'm thinking about other stuff. I'm doing other stuff. I'm not like sitting in the front row taking notes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. it was just it's little things like that, or going. I would go. We had some guys on the team that were in fraternities, and they would say, come out to the frat house, come out to the house, man, come on. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I'd go out there, and then there'd be like some girl out there that's just like, how old are you? Like, oh my God, I just whatever,
I'm 50.
But for the most part, dude, I loved it, man. Austin's a great city. Yeah, I'm 50. What? No, but I loved Austin. I loved UT, and it's a very obviously Texas is very supportive of the veteran community and the military, and so like by and large, I was super welcomed, and most of the kids were not just kids. It's a good school. There's a lot of smart people there and a lot of mature people, and even especially on the football team, man. Like those guys, they're getting ridiculed right out the gate. The first minute they step on campus, if they have a rough training camp or whatever, it's just like, oh, this guy, he was a 5-star, what a waste. We just blew it on this guy. What an idiot. He sucks. All this terrible stuff, and they just have to they read that crap, and they got to move past it. So for the most part, man, it was like no issue there. Just little things.
Yeah, you don't think about. I started thinking about it during the game I was calling.
Yeah.
Like Matt said something about Desmond Ridder or somebody missing a play or missing a throw. And in my head, I was like, yeah, he should have completed that throw. And then as I was going to pile on, I was like, man, this dude's like 19 years old. This kid does not deserve me just tearing him down right now. But it happens. That's real life.
Yeah.
As confident as he looks, he's literally shitting his pants. That is happening.
Nick, what's up?
Nate, seems like you've accomplished every goal or objective you've set for yourself in incredible fashion. I'd like to know what's next. What's one big thing you have that you would like to accomplish in the coming years?
Man, I'm back in LA. I'm working in film and TV. I want to have my own production company. I've already got it named.
What is it?
But I know exactly what I want to do. So I hope nobody steals this because I haven't
We'll dump it.
What do you call it?
Trademarked it.
That's trademark. It's patent pending, trademark, all that. If somebody steals it from the Green Beret, go fuck yourself.
No, I'll go after them because we got it on tape right now. So, do you know what the Class 6 is? Oh, I know at least two guys in that room know what the Class 6 is. Does everybody else on this podcast understand what the
Do you guys know what that means? Me and Todd know what it means. Do you guys know what it means?
No.
Okay.
Explain it to the dumbasses.
I would never have known this if I wasn't in the military. So, on a military base, you've got Class 1 through 10, and one of them is like rations, one of them is like ammunition, one of them is whatever. What am I trying to say? Equipment. They have all these different classes where that's the department you go to for that thing.
Yeah.
Well, Class 6 is technically sundries, but everybody in the military knows the Class 6 as the liquor store because that's what they sell there. That's the number one seller in the Class 6. And it's not called the ABC store. It's not called 7-Eleven. It's called the Class 6 on every military base. So the production company will be Class 6. But when it comes up on screen in that Tarantino, 80s retro, red bleeding into orange, bleeding into yellow, grainy, whatever, the words will slide together and the S's will overlap and it'll say classics with an X at the end.
Oh.
It's pretty cool, dude. Come on. But Class 6 Productions, man. But that's what I want to do. And it doesn't have to be just mine, but I want to be a part of that. And I don't want to make just military content. I want to make all kinds of stuff. But I want to focus on having more veterans involved in this industry, especially behind the camera, because I've been on enough of these big sets now to know it's like a military training operation. We've got chain of command. Everybody's got their different departments. You gotta be ready for sudden change. You get weather, you get something goes wrong. You got to be able to completely adjust and improvise, adapt, overcome. All those things we talk about in the military. And I think we would make some great stuff. You know what I mean? And as long as you got great creative ideas and people that are willing to work with each other, stay in your lane while being prepared to help the man on your left and right. Just like we did on the battlefield, like we would crush it, and we'd do everything cheap because that's how we are. Like we would find a way to cut corners here and there, and and throw our military cards in everybody's face, stuff like that.
There is so much wasted money on those productions.
I know.
It's next level. And the amount of bureaucracy, I assume you cut through that. Excited to see how Classics works.
Yeah.
Ty Schmidt, big time.
It's a ways off, but it's going to happen.
No, it'll work. I can't. Everything you say you're going to do, you end up doing, Nate. So you should. I have 100% faith in that. Ty Schmidt, big movie guy. I think he's a big Tarantino fan as well. So
I am, Nate. Piggybacking off that, considering you were a soldier and you've been to war before, what's your take on how realistic war is portrayed in movies?
I mean, it's case by case, and it's really hard to super accurately portray, and I don't even know if you'd want to, because as it gets too real, it can be hard to watch, and of course you don't want to trigger people also. So that's a fine line to sort of tap dance. I mean, I think the most important thing is making sure the characters are correct and like the dialogue is correct. You know what I mean? Because there's certain stuff I don't know if you want to kind of go there with everything, with the all the senses that you really feel in that moment. But yeah, it's getting a lot better, I think, because the more they have not just tech advisors on these projects, but veterans involved at various stages in the writing room, some of them on screen, it helps all those projects. So I mean, I like a lot of military movies. I've always got issue with something, but I mean, name a doctor who watches any doctor show or doctor movie that's not going to just pick apart the whole thing, or whatever the profession is, like a movie, in a courtroom. Like, they're going to just be like, that's BS, that's stupid, never would say that. I mean, you could do that all day long, but as long as they're trying to be accurate with it, and the more that films are objective as far as politics go, I enjoy. Like, I don't want you to I don't want to be injected with some a writer's opinion on why the war was wrong or right or whatever. Like, if it's about the soldiers, if it's about the military, if it's about the unit, like, that's not. We don't get in the weeds on that stuff.
Take it easy, Oliver Stone.
We're doing our job.
how about the sergeant walking in? Well, since the government just made a law that doesn't allow us to blah, 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 we're going to do this. That is, they do sneak those in there just in such a clever little place. Lone Survivor made me feel as if I was potentially in, like, that was the closest I felt like. Is that accurate? Am I accurate with that one?
That's Peter Berg, right?
It's a good move. It's Pete's, dude. So I don't know if you want to give him.
Fuck that! God darn it! This next guy has a beautiful mind, Zito.
Hey, Mr. Breyer. I want to thank you for your service first and foremost.
That a boy, Zito.
And I want to say that one of the coolest people that watch the Texans games is Matthew McConaughey. Do you have any good stories about him?
About who? Oh,
McConaughey, yeah.
He's had a tough time.
Yeah, McConaughey's classic. So, first of all, every time I've been around him, he's got a red man in his jaw.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
And you can't see it, but you can smell it. You can smell it, and you just know. And I'm trying to think, man. There's just so many good ones.
I have so many McConaughey stories.
He's just hilarious. But when you introduce him to somebody, like I was down on the field for a game, and and I introduced him to a couple of people that were down there with me. They're like, I want to meet McConaughey. So I'd go up and I'd introduce them, and I'd say their name and whatever, and bring him out, and he just turns around and looks him in the eye and goes, McConaughey, and puts his hand out and shakes him like that. That's it. But no, man, he's great. He's hilarious. I don't think he is a real coach. I think he might think that he is. Actually is. I've seen him on obviously in the football games, he's right down in there. And he also does the damn hook 'em sign backwards all the time. And it drives a lot of people nuts. He does like the rock and roll thing instead of like the, horns out. But, during like the basketball, it was a basketball game, I think, last year. And I mean, he's an actor, so obviously he knows how to play the part. He knows how to look and walk the walk. And,
yes,
He was the coach.
he's wearing the suit, and it's like a timeout on the floor, and coaches are huddled around. Coach is sitting in a chair. Shaka's got the chalkboard out or whatever, and McConaughey's got his arms folded, but with like one hand up against his face, kind of like in deep thought, and he's like circling the huddle there, sort of thinking about like what what an assistant coach would be doing, like walking that walk, and then he puts his hands on the small of the back of a couple of players and leans into the huddle and kind of looks at it, and then they whistle out of the timeout, and he's patting guys on the head and on the butt and kind of walking back to the bench, strolling back to the bench. No commentary, no words of encouragement, just like, what do we need to do to stop these guys? I really need to like break this down. Like what defense? I know I got a pearl of wisdom to throw at Shaka. I'm just going to find the exact scheme that's going to get this thing done. And it's just so funny because I'm just like, I don't even know. I remember watching How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and listening to his commentary during he's watching a Knicks game on TV or something or in the thing. And it's just like, I mean, it's probably bad writing too, but I'm just like, dude, this guy, I don't know if he really knows what basketball is. What's actually going on here?
Hey, is he
nobody says any of those things you're saying right now.
Is he just trolling? So, like, he's on the sideline of the football game with the hat on, and they're zooming in on him, and he gave the classic fuck. On the basketball game, he was telling people to stand up on the bench. He walked over with his suit on, was telling players.
Yeah, that's right.
So is he just trolling over there? He's just trolling everything?
No, I mean, he's the minister of culture at the University of Texas. That is his official title. And he teaches classes over there, and he's just trying to get that Texas attitude back, injected in the players and keep everybody excited. And there may be a line, but McConaughey can cross it. He can do whatever he wants. I mean,
it's true.
Foxy,
what do you got?
Yeah, Nate, I'll keep it simple. I just want to know who you think's going to win the Super Bowl this year.
I like it.
Patriots.
Yep. Is it?
Patriots.
I don't even think it's a question. I mean,
no.
I've said this a couple times this week because it is such a hilarious stat. The Super Bowl this year is on Groundhog's Day. And it just feels as if
stupid.
Yes, it is all just coming together for them. But there's a lot of great teams. Clinton Portis broke it down yesterday on the radio show. There's a lot of great teams. Kansas City Chiefs picked up LaShawn McCoy. They got great. All of a sudden, the New Orleans Saints are back. They can't be heartbroken yet again, can they? The Rams, maybe they'll play. It does feel like it's the Patriots here, though.
Yeah. Well, it would be very cool to see Tom and Drew one more time. You know what I mean? That would be really cool. And I would have to pull for Drew. You got to, if you're not a Patriots fan. But yeah, I mean, if I was to pick two right now, it's obviously super early, but I would say, Saints and Pats in the Super Bowl. I mean, those are the best two teams, I think, in the league anyway.
Agreed. All right, last guy here, and then we'll send you on your way. Thank you so much for your time, by the way, Nate. Not only
of course,
in the military, but here chatting today. Your story is an incredible one. I think people will enjoy. This last guy's from Canada, so go ahead and take that with whatever you need to do. His name's Gumpy.
Hey, Nate, you were in the movie Den of Thieves. I'm just wondering if anybody on the cast you were really close with.
I don't know about really close. I mean, I was out there for about 2 or 3 weeks for that. I do have a funny story from. I mean, okay, so Pablo Schreiber is an awesome dude. He plays Merriman in that, and actually Gerard Butler's super cool. I didn't have any scenes with him, but he's giving me multiple shout outs. He's just he's a good dude, man. What'd you say?
That's P.S. I love you guy. That's right.
It's the P.S. I love you guy. Sure is.
Yeah, he's good.
He's hard to. He is a sexy man too. I'm not gonna lie, man.
Yeah,
he is charming.
Agreed. Yeah. Especially when he's writing letters from the grave.
But oh jeez. So on set. So during one of the scenes, I'm walking down. I'm like playing the Secret Service guard at the Federal Reserve, right? So I'm supposed to be protecting all this money that gets stolen. So I obviously suck at my job. But I'm like strolling down, and 50 Cent is undercover, dressed up in a like a armored, like what do they call it? The armored truck, guard uniform or whatever. And he's like sitting there. And, I walked by him a few times in the scene, and we run it again, and the director's like, hey, when you walk by him, sort of nod at him and, maybe say something or whatever. And the director was super cool, by the way. I got to give a shout out to Christian Gudegas, man. Awesome guy. And he was just like, he wanted me to be in that just because of my background. Like, I don't know what I'm doing acting wise, but good guy.
Good guy.
But he was like, okay. So I was like, all right. So I walk out. The next time I walk by, I start whistling that PIMP song. You know what I mean? Like whistling, I don't know if that's the name of the song, but that,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what you heard about me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was just
So
trying
I'm
to
like
catch it right there. I haven't heard that song in a long time. Great song.
Yeah, it was good. So I'm like doing it, and I could see the cameraman behind the camera out of the corner of my eye, like kind of nodding, like yes. And we go by 50 or 50, whatever. Curtis. We go by. I kind of stroll by him doing that, and he just like, I don't even know if his face is on camera. They didn't even use the take anyway. But he kind of like looks at me and then sort of squints, like, "Motherfucker, you serious, bro?" Just stink eyes. I go by, and I was just like, so I just did it once. Next time I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. But he was very,
That's
he
what
was
you
very
should have done the next time.
Yeah.
That whole album is a banger, by the way. He should have been proud of that and thankful for that. Nate, I can't thank you enough, man, for taking the time today. This has been a hell of an interview. We've been to a lot of places here. Social justice, Iraq, Afghanistan, the NFL, fulfillment, Class 6, which is going to be one of the greatest production companies ever created. I don't know if Peter Berg will ever answer your phone call. He didn't answer ours. But, Nate, thank you for everything you've done. I hope the MVP Foundation continues to thrive and continues to take care of people. From all of us over here and to you, man, thank you for everything. You're the absolute greatest. Ladies and gentlemen, follow him on social media at
Nate Boyer 37.
Is that your number? 37 is your number?
Yeah, that was my college number, man.
I respect it.
It wasn't. It was given, not requested. You know how it is.
Yeah.
So once I got that, I was like, you know what? This is perfect, man. Like, this is the one nobody wanted, just like me, and I got it anyway. I stole it.
That's awesome. My number was 40 in college. Rich Rodriguez gave that to me as well. They wanted me to change it. I said, nope. That is my GPA, obviously, and my favorite drink. Let's go ahead and keep it moving. And that's what I remained with. And they actually, the next couple kickers used it, and I don't think they had it the same reason as I did. Just House and 40s and Mad Dog 2020s is a pretty good little run. But, Nate, I wish I was your teammate. You would have been an absolute gem to be around on a daily basis.
Thank you, brother. That's not true at all, but I appreciate the comment anyway.
Are you just a fucking asshole? Or?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you deserve it. You're allowed to do whatever you want to do, man. Ladies and gentlemen, at Nate Boyer 37. Thank you, dude.
Thank you, guys.
He was amazing.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Blew me away.
Did not know how long that conversation was going to be. I did not know how long he was booked for. I had no idea what to expect going in there. That was incredible. Remarkable story. Please send him a tweet thanking him. And please send a tweet to @VivaLazito after this and either tell him this upcoming reading from him was great or terrible. You can CC me in it. Whatever you say to him, whether it's a motivational speech to read better or something to knock him down. If I laugh, you can win some free merch. Ladies and gentlemen, a reading by Zito.
Thank you, Pat. Oh, there's chocolate on it.
He has not looked at the ad read yet until that moment right there. For those that are new to the show, I want Zito to do a reading at my wedding that is coming up. Sam, very against it because he has about a second to third graders level ability of reading.
Generous.
I think 5th grade.
No, back in the day. Not anymore now.
Thank you.
So we started this reading by Zito to improve his reading abilities in front of other people. And honestly, his last one he did was his best one yet. Is there anywhere else to go but down from here? We'll find out right now. Good luck, Zito. He just got his eyes on the ad read for the first time.
Thank you, Pat, again.
Jesus, get to it.
All right, listeners.
You Hulk Hogan?
I am holding something awesome in my hand right now, but I'm not telling you what it is.
Okay.
You have to guess.
All right.
Start describing the product. Got it.
Okay.
It's ice cold,
Okay.
like a corpse.
Oh, wow.
What was that?
Like a corpse.
Okay.
Okay.
Some people are afraid of it and think it's for Satan worshippers.
Oh.
What are you holding over there, Z?
I don't know. It would hurt really bad if you lost a bet and had to shove it up your ass. Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh, shoving it
Was
up.
whoa in there, or is that just your natural reaction to
my
the words
reaction.
that came out of your mouth?
That
there?
was insane.
Yeah.
What kind of bets you making?
There's a giant golden skull on it.
Giant what's called?
Golden?
Golden.
A giant golden skull.
There's a seagull,
Yeah.
and then there's a golden bird, and that it has a good skull that they put right on there.
Correct.
All right.
It could be repurposed as a device for smoking drugs.
Oh.
It's actually one of my new favorite things.
What? Guppy.
The cackle.
Guppy, take it easy back here.
It came from the mountains. It might actually help clean up pollution. A cop stopped me for walking around with it in public. I fucking love the looks my kids get when they bring it to school. Don't have kids. Alternative. It was confiscated from my kid's backpack.
Are we getting to it at any point?
Oh, yeah, there's 5 more.
Jesus.
A few psychos actually have it tattooed on their body.
Really?
It's actually responsible for more deaths a year than serial killers.
What?
I don't know what's going here.
We should probably not read that one next time.
Yeah.
By any chance, is that one of those? Is like pick your favorite 2 or 3 of these 37 options?
Oh, I didn't get that far. Let me read it. Start describing the product without actually saying the brand name or the fact that it's... I can't say that part because I'd ruin it. Make it sound like it's a mystical thing using random facts.
A mystical, like mystical the
Danger.
rapper, or mythical?
Shake your ass.
It says mystical. There's no H.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm thinking and like me saying golden like that was mystical.
But watch yourself.
Show me what you're working with.
He did something terrible, didn't he?
Yeah. I actually don't know.
I don't know.
Just a blind. Yeah.
Just answering a question that he has no clue about.
It's metal as fuck. You could get some for free if you literally sell your soul. Some of you would be so grounded if your parents found it. I'm going to call some action real quick.
Attaboy.
Sounds pretty cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, I was just answering your question.
Oh, yeah. But like I said, I'm not telling you what it is. You'll have to find out yourself by going to whatthefuckisthishit.com/XXX.
I think it's Pat, maybe. I don't know. Light switch. Let's see who it is.
Christ.
And you'll even get 6.66% off if you decide to buy it. That's whatthefuckisthatshit.com
This. Is it this shit or that shit?
this shit.
That's pretty important. Hey, that's a pretty important part of the whole thing.
Back to the top.
No, please do not. Just right back to your action calling.
That's what the fuck it. Oh. That's what the fuck is this shit.com/Pat. What the fuck is this shit.com/Pat?
Thank you, Zito. You can get 6.6% off if you purchase from, what's the website, Zito?
Oh. What the fuck is that? This shit.com.
He's the worst. That's what Sam's going to say on the wedding day.
I do know what this product is. It's great.
It is really
good.
Yeah, it's delicious. I'm not kidding.
Don't give it
Well,
away.
I'm not. I'm just
Well,
saying.
you said
delicious.
That's a describing word, my friend.
Yeah, but a lot of things can be delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
It's
a lot
modest.
Of things, a lot of things can be delicious. Anyways, although that was an insane ad read for a company, the actual product is
Very good.
Very good. It is very good. And when it showed up at the office, I had a lot of questions. Whenever we were given that ad read, I had even more questions. And then the product showed up, and I tried it, and I was like, Not bad. Hey, whatever they got to do. Whatever they got to do to sell some. Speaking of, if you're listening to this on Thursday, we are currently in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We're doing our live show from the back of a box truck.
A nice box truck.
It is a very nice box truck. But we're not exactly sure if the box truck has enough technological ability to go live from the back of the box truck. So we might currently just be sitting in a box truck, sweating our asses off, talking into a cell phone that is connected to a radio station. And if that's the case, send us some tweets to cheer us up. Hashtag, what the fuck is this? No, we're so thankful you chose to listen. You can listen to a lot of other things. You chose to listen to us. Know this, tonight's games, go ahead and bet them all with FanDuel. That's a free ad. We haven't signed anything with them yet, but I think we're awfully close, and they're very good. They were out here at the office yesterday.
Yes, they were.
Got a chance to shake some hands. Tonight's games are going to be awesome. Tomorrow night, Winston-Salem, UNC at Wake. I think it's going to be an underrated game. Mack Brown, we heard about him from Nate. It's going to be good stuff. For myself, Nick, Diggs, Todd, Ty, Zito, Foxy, and Gumpy, we can't thank you enough for listening wherever you are in the world. We have another heater of a podcast coming out tomorrow. Friday Bangers. Diggs is giving out some picks for the weekend, things we're expecting, and also a full review on how big of a clusterfuck the live show was from the back of a box truck in a parking lot in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. You're the absolute greatest humans on earth. We appreciate you. Ty Schmidt, hit the music.